It's 2:18 a.m., the 15th of October 2025. Over the dark waters of the Eastern Caribbean, a faint light crawls across Venezuelan radar. Inside the Air Defense Command Room, a dozen operators lean forward, eyes locked on one pulsing dot. It's flying at 56,000 feet, steady and fast. Too fast for a civilian plane, too calm for a storm echo. Then, silence. The transponder is off. No ID, no flight plan. Two Su-30 MK-2 fighters roar off the runway in Barcelona, afterburners lighting the night. Their orders are simple: intercept and identify. At that same moment, aboard the USS George H.W. Bush, a control screen flickers the signal from a test drone. Call sign Falcon 9-1 just vanished. As the Venezuelan jets climb, the ghost appears on their sensors, small, cold, and unmarked. No cockpit, no lights, just a smooth gliding shape. "It's not civilian," the lead pilot mutters. Then, a metallic glint, a refueling probe. His gut tightens. MQ-25 Stingray. Should they move closer or hold position? One wrong call could turn a silent encounter into an international crisis. The MQ-25 Stingray isn't just another drone. It's the Navy's first carrier-based refueling aircraft, a flying gas tank designed to keep F divided by A 18 seconds, F 35 seconds, and EA 18 growlers in the air longer than ever. Every extra mile it gives, those jets pushes American power deeper across the ocean and keeps the carrier itself farther from danger. That's why a single wrong move in this part of the Caribbean can shake more than radar screens. The area north of Venezuela is packed with overlapping sensors, trade routes, and patrol zones. Every country here watches every blip, 24/7. To most Americans, it's just blue water on a map. But for sailors and pilots, this narrow strip between Curaçao and Paraguay is a chessboard of airspace boundaries and electronic shadows. In recent years, Venezuela has filled its coastline with Russian-made radars and missile sites. The Nebo M3D array in Falcon can spot stealthy shapes at high altitude, and the government treats every unknown as a threat until proven otherwise. For the young operators in that control room, what appeared on screen that night wasn't just a dot, it was a test of their readiness, maybe their careers. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away, aboard the USS George H.W. Bush, CVN-77, no one was supposed to be nervous. The flight plan for the MQ-25 was routine: launch, climb, circle over international waters, then return. But when the link broke and the drone started drifting southwest, straight toward Venezuela's defense zone, routine turned into risk. If the Venezuelan fighters got too close, a collision could trigger headlines the Pentagon couldn't erase. If the drone kept moving, it might look like a deliberate spy run. And for both sides, perception can hit harder than any missile. Because in this kind of standoff, the first one to panic loses control of the story and maybe of the sky itself. At 2:26 a.m., the Venezuelan command center confirmed the contact for the third time. The order went out: scramble, intercept, identify. Two Su-30 MK-2 fighters roared into the night sky, their engines shaking the coastline. Inside the lead jet, the pilot's display showed a single dot drifting just outside radar range, then back again. "No, Mode 3. No transponder," the weapons officer said quietly. The pilot didn't answer. He was already pushing the throttle forward. Miles away, aboard the USS George H.W. Bush, the drone control crew stared at frozen telemetry. The MQ-25 was responding to basic pitch and roll commands but ignored every return to base. A soft voice broke the silence. "It's flying itself." The supervisor frowned. "Autonomy guard mode," he muttered. "It thinks it's avoiding a threat." In the Venezuelan sky, the fighters reached 52,000 feet. On their infrared screens, the target looked like a silver arrow, smooth. No cockpit, no insignia, only a refueling probe gleaming faintly in the moonlight. "Visual contact," the leader reported. "Unknown unmanned aircraft. Type resembles MQ-25. Ground control hesitated. Engage, shadow, wait. Maintain position," came the final word. "Observe, do not provoke." But the drone shifted course, descending slowly toward 30,000 feet, edging closer to the coast. The control room in Caracas erupted in overlapping voices, some calling for an electronic block, others for warning flares. One officer shouted over the noise, "If it crosses the line, we jam it." For 3 tense minutes, the pilots flew parallel with the drone, only a mile apart, watching for the smallest movement. Then it banked left, sliding east, steady and deliberate as if aware it was being watched. In the carrier's command module, engineers flooded the system with backup frequencies, desperate to regain control. "Command queue loaded," one reported. "Still ignoring." In moments like this, no one wants to be first to act. The air is heavy with silence, the kind that carries more pressure than explosions. One Venezuelan pilot whispered, "One mistake, and the world wakes up to war." And you watching this now, what would you have done? Press 1 if you'd hold your fire to avoid disaster, or 9 if you think they should have forced the drone down before it crossed the line. The MQ-25 continued east, drifting just above the invisible line of Venezuela's airspace. On radar, its tag turned from yellow to red, violation risk confirmed. Object turning southeast, altitude steady, the Su-30 leader reported. Caracas responded in a clipped tone. "Follow and record. Do not engage unless fired upon." One fighter climbed higher, scanning infrared, while the other stayed low, tracking from below. "No lights, no heat trail," the wingman said. "It's colder than the clouds." The leader nodded. "Copy. Metallic body confirmed." From Falcón to Puerto Cabello, coastal radars locked on. Every operator knew that one wrong move could trigger headlines by morning. Inside the USS George H.W. Bush, the drone control room was tense. The MQ-25 followed small inputs. Bank left 5, climb 1,000, but every return to base command came back ignored. "It's responding, but not to us," muttered the systems engineer. Another voice added, "Then who's steering it?" The analysis team cross-checked frequencies. Buried deep in the logs, they found strange pulses sharp, timed bursts from somewhere on the western Venezuelan coast. "Could be noise," someone said. "Or a test signal." The supervisor shook his head. "If it's timed, it's no accident." At 3:07 a.m., Venezuela raised alert to level 3. A Guaycari-class patrol ship moved out from port, broadcasting its radar to ensure everyone saw it. Above, the Su-30 flew close, cameras rolling for proof. The drone glided on, steady, indifferent, as if nothing around it mattered. In the control room, one Venezuelan operator whispered, "If it crosses the line again, we jam it." His commander answered, "We do that." And Washington calls it aggression. The silence afterward was louder than alarms. Back on the carrier, the air boss leaned over the console. "We're watching a signal war," he said. "Whoever controls that drone controls the message." Outside, the MQ-25 leveled at 29,500 feet, motionless against the stars, a machine suspended between peace and provocation, between human hands and invisible code. And while politicians slept on land, out here in the night sky, 2 pilots and 1 lost drone carried the weight of 2 nations' pride, waiting for dawn to decide who blinked first. At 3:36 a.m., every Venezuelan radar went silent. The MQ-25 was gone. No echo, no blip, nothing but empty air. "Target lost," a technician said. The commander leaned forward. "Confirm all stations." Each report came back the same. Negative contact. Above the Caribbean, the 2 Su-30 circled. "No heat, no reflection," the wingman said. "It's gone." The leader's reply was quiet. "Keep searching." Far out at sea, aboard the USS George H.W. Bush, an engineer suddenly shouted, "Signal reacquired!" The drone had reappeared, flying perfectly back toward the carrier, as if it had never left. The room exhaled at once. Then a new icon blinked on screen, a locked file, created during the blackout. No one had touched the keyboard. Inside the file were coordinates pointing to Base Aérea Libertador, deep inside Venezuela, and a fragment of strange code. It didn't match any US encryption. The system's chief frowned. This wasn't ours. A quick scan of the logs revealed something worse. During exactly 13 minutes and 47 seconds, the drone had received external commands, inputs, that didn't exist in its mission data. The transmission pattern looked eerily similar to known Russian electronic warfare links. "It's like someone reached in," one engineer whispered. Nobody spoke for several seconds. In that silence, they all understood. The Stingray hadn't just lost connection, it had been touched, controlled, tested. Was it a malfunction or a message sent from the ground? That night, no one could say for sure, but every person in that room knew one thing: the ghost in the sky wasn't alone anymore. And if you were watching that radar, what would you think? Press 1 if you believe it was an attack, or 9 if you think it was just a technical fluke. Dawn broke over the Caribbean as the MQ-25 Stingray lined up with the carrier deck. The sky was pale, orange, calm, almost peaceful, but no one aboard the USS George H.W. Bush felt calm. Every eye in the control room locked on the monitor as the drone descended. "Landing sequence confirmed," said the technician. The Stingray touched down perfectly, cables catching, engines cooling in the morning air. To the crew, it looked unchanged. But everyone knew it wasn't the same machine that had left hours earlier. In Caracas, word spread fast. A statement from the Ministry of Defense appeared on every screen. An unidentified aerial vehicle of foreign origin entered Venezuelan airspace and was neutralized by electronic means. The word neutralized echoed through the halls of government buildings. It said, "Victory without saying confrontation." On the carrier, silence filled the command room. A report marked Contact Gray, the Pentagon's code for unconfirmed international incident, was sent within minutes. "Keep this off the media," the captain ordered. "Not a word until DC clears it." But the truth was already spreading through encrypted channels, journalists, and radar enthusiasts across the region. Back at the drone bay, engineers examined the MQ-25. The outer shell was spotless, no scratches, no burns, nothing mechanical to explain what had happened. Yet, the flight computer showed those impossible logs, foreign signals, external commands, data packets sent to a ground station inside Venezuela. "Someone reached in," one analyst said quietly. "They didn't break it, they just proved they could." On the Venezuelan coast, crews celebrated. To them, it was proof their systems worked that even a billion-dollar drone could be turned away. In Washington, no one celebrated. The word hack never appeared in official reports, but everyone used it in private. The confrontation that night had ended without a shot fired, but it had redrawn invisible lines in the Caribbean sky. The question wasn't who won, but who learned more. And both sides knew, next time, they wouldn't be testing. If you followed this far, you can feel it too, the quiet before the next spark. Press 1 if you think this was a warning, or 9 if you believe it was only the beginning of something far bigger. By mid-morning, the Caribbean looked calm again, but the world beneath that calm had shifted. In Caracas, Venezuela's foreign ministry delivered a formal note of protest to the U.S. Embassy, accusing Washington of violating national sovereignty. The response from Washington came hours later, careful, polished, and cold. The drone experienced a temporary technical failure during a routine flight over international waters. No admission, no apology, just words meant to close a wound that wasn't done bleeding. But inside the Pentagon, the tone was different. Engineers and analysts tore through every data log, every second of telemetry from the MQ-25. The conclusion chilled the room. The drone hadn't simply lost contact, it had been influenced. Short, targeted bursts of energy, possibly from ground-based systems, had forced it to execute commands outside its control chain. For defense planners, it wasn't just about one drone. It meant the Navy's most advanced unmanned aircraft could be manipulated mid-flight. At sea, new orders spread quietly through the fleet. No autonomous operations within 200 miles of hostile radar zones. Meanwhile, along the Venezuelan coast, radar crews replayed the footage again and again, proud of what they saw as proof their electronic shield could stand against America's latest technology. To both sides, the night had ended in silence, but each claimed a different victory. Analysts would later call the event the Caribbean Ghost Incident. It didn't cause an explosion, but it shifted strategy. New funding poured into cyber defense, anti-jamming systems, and satellite encryption. What had begun as a lost drone became a warning that future wars might not start with bombs, but with code. And as one Pentagon official said off-record, if someone could reach into our drone tonight, they can reach into anything tomorrow. So, what do you think? Was the Caribbean ghost just a warning shot, or the first spark of a digital Cold War? Press 1 if you think it was a message, or 9 if you believe the real conflict has already begun.